Good morning, Dr. Chapman.
Morning.
Welcome to our first episode of the Chamber Chat with the Superintendent of CFBISD. How are you today?
Doing great. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today.
Well, we're grateful for you to bring an update to our business leaders who are also parents. So can you give us an update on the first 2 weeks of school?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want everybody to understand, we serve 66% of our kids are economically disadvantaged and 51% are at risk. So we are working extremely hard to make sure our children have all of the tools and resources that they need so that they can have virtual learning from home. In our first 2 weeks, it's gone fairly well. Is it perfect? 100% no. We know it's not perfect. We're working extremely hard to make sure that we have the processes and procedures in place. Does remote learning today, the last 2 weeks, look anything like at-home learning last spring? Absolutely not. We were thrown into a firestorm whenever they shut down the schools, and we didn't have any of those systems in place. We didn't have the one-to-one devices for children to have in hand. And so we were having to put resources together literally by the hour. We've had some time to organize and set up, new process and procedures to make sure that we have all of the curriculum needs, the TEKS, and TEKS are what the state of Texas requires us to teach kids each and every day so that they can be prepared ultimately at the end of the year to take a state assessment test. And so we have put all of that into our new scope and sequence. So our plan for learning. I will say that we'll talk about technology in a moment, but I'm proud to say that every single child that has enrolled with us has a device in hand. We took and we paid 231 of our employees to call all 25,700 of our children. And so they didn't call them just once, they called them multiple times. Do you have the resources? Do you have a device? What questions do you have for us as we move forward, as we start remote learning? And again, we started remote learning on August 17th. And our plan as of today, things can change, but as of today, we're planning to offer in-person September 8th. So many people in the community have asked, why are you going virtual for the first 3 weeks? Well, if people recall, back in late July, early August, the county put in a health order requiring all districts to start virtual in their first 3 weeks. Well, since then, that health order has been announced as being illegal, or you can't do a blanket. And so that came back as a recommendation. But CFB, along with the other districts, we decided let's not go and change our whole entire calendar. Parents already know, they've already planned for the first 3 weeks being virtual. And then whatever date they set, which majority of the districts are September 8th, that then we would offer both in-person and remote learning. Now, where are we with CFBISD? We, through that contact with every single family, we're looking at 40% of our kids want to come back in person and 60% want to remain virtual. Can children have the opportunity to choose to change from virtual or remote? Yes. And this is a Texas Education Code. So the TEA, Texas Education Agency, put this out, that they can make changes per grading period. So we're on 9-week grading periods. So when we move into late October, November, parents can then decide to change from one platform to the other platform, but not any time in between. Again, that's not a CFB rule. That's a state of Texas rule as we move forward. But do we have hiccups? Absolutely. Have we launched a number of employees to help well above their number of 40 hours a week? We have. We've got some employees that put in over 50 hours of overtime just last week, assisting our families. Because the one thing that we want to do is we want to provide the best instruction and the best resources we can for these unprecedented times. And the only way we can do that is through solid, good customer service.
That's awesome. Thank you for the thorough update. A question for you. Do students receive meals during remote learning? Is it similar to the summer meal program? Tell us about how the summer meal program went overall.
Yes, we will still provide meals, and we're providing them even as of right now, this week. And we're still doing once a week meals. On average, we're serving 105,000 meals per week, and so, or excuse me, per month. We gave out 706,000 meals from March to July.
Wow.
And we're going to continue to roll those out. Now, we gave them to all children during summer. That's a federal government ruling that we were allowed to do that through the feed program. We're going to continue to do so for our free and reduced lunch. Again, 66% of our kids are free and reduced. And so that's going to be majority of our children being able to take advantage of those once a week meal distributions. Now, how will that work? Right now, we're in conversations of offering meal distributions during the day like we did in the summer. Well, now we have conflict because we have families with children at home. So they're going to leave their children to sit in line for 45 minutes to get, a week's worth of meals. So we're looking at restructuring that so where they can come in the evenings and or Saturdays. Well, that gets into overtime. And so we're trying to figure out how we can roll that piece out. But we will continue to provide meals for all of our children for the 2021 school year. But we also put in, and we've partnership with Be a Champion. Be a Champion is a great program that we used last year where we're providing dinners for our children. So children that stay in school after the bell. So if it's, an after bell program where they stay till 6, or if it's some other special clubs, we were providing them a dinner before they went home for the day. So we went from 7 campuses to 21 campuses this year. So not only are we now going to be providing a free breakfast, lunch, depending on if you're free and reduced or you're paying, still get a lunch, and then a free dinner for 21 campuses. So again, going above and beyond. But we thought too, with these times, that we also want to provide fruits and vegetables. As most people, when you go to the grocery store, those are the most expensive items to buy. Those organic or those fresh items are very expensive. So we've now partnership with what's called Bright Bites. Bright Bites provides 25 pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables every single week. And so we're going to pilot that with 3 campuses this year. And so the parents can come up on a, whatever day, probably going to be a Friday afternoon. And we're going to have 2 grocery sacks of, again, totaling of 25 pounds. And they're going to take those free fruits and vegetables home that will supply them for the week. And we're going to do that every Friday for the length of those programs. So going above and beyond, trying to, find ways to make sure that our little children are getting the meals that they need each and every day. And I'll tell you, our school district, with the support of the Board of Trustees, has gone above and beyond. Even to say that, some districts saying, well, we're in these limitations on what we can provide. I will say CFB has spent not only what the federal government gets us, but we've also gone in our own pockets of over $1 million just to make sure that children have the essentials that they need.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm a huge advocate for, nutrition definitely needs to be the full scope of fruit and vegetables, and not just sustenance to fill their bellies, but what's going to help them and help their little brains develop and learn and be able to absorb the information. So that's incredible. That's exciting that you guys are finding ways to provide all 3 meals for those that are in the underserved population. So once students return to school, what safety precautions will be in place?
We have many safety precautions. We've actually spent, the last 2.5 months walking through, processes and procedures for social distancing. We have signage in every single campus. We have face shields. We have so I'm going to say PPEs. So that's face shields for our employees. We have gloves for all of our employees. We have disposable mask and reusable mask for every single employee and every single child. We have tens of thousands of gallons of hand sanitizer. We have hand sanitizing stations throughout our hallways. We have them in our classrooms. We have disinfecting bottles in our classrooms. We have wash tubs in our classrooms. So, and you ask, well, why? Why are we doing that? Well, let's say that a child, and I'm going to use sneezes on some Legos. Well, then the teacher can grab the spray bottle and disinfect those right then and there instead of us trying to call a custodian to come in. And so we're training all of our staff on the products that we have in place. We purchased a year and a half ago, some electrostatic sprayers. And so we've got all of those sprayers. We've got backpack sprayers. We've got hand sprayers that now we're going through and we're spraying all of our facilities. We also hired, a company to come in and spray our facilities to disinfect those. And it's been on the news that, are y'all really relying on them to spray and then y'all are golden? No, we're not. That's just one extra step. They came in and they neutralized or killed all of the viruses, any molds, any bacteria in our building. But we're still doing our thorough daily cleaning, even, again, going to the point of not relying just on a custodian, but we're also equipping our staff, our teachers, to have that ability to spray something down if they need it. We've got signs for washing your hands. We've got signs for, how many times you should use hand sanitizer. All of those products are in place. Every child, again, will have a shield that they can put up in front of them so that they can have a barrier around them. They can carry those barriers even to the cafeteria. Even though we're going to divide up our children on a long table to where before you may have 10, now we're only going to have 3 children. And then they can still put that barrier around them as well. Our cafeteria staff has new processes and procedures in place on how they're going to hand out the meals. The kids aren't going to go through the line like they used to. So we've walked through every component. We are meeting all of CDC guidelines, all of the Texas education guidelines, and we even put in some stricter guidelines in CFB that we felt that was most important to make sure as our children and staff come back that we have the best processes, procedures in place. We've got all the documents on our website. We've decided to put in flow charts to where, you got a 9-page document. Somebody goes, I'll read that tomorrow. Well, we don't want you to read it tomorrow. We want you to understand those processes. So we put things on a 1-page document so you can see a flow chart and understand what we're doing and how we're doing all of those things. And everything is in English and in Spanish. And so we understand that, 56% of our population is Spanish speaking. And so, we're there. We want to make sure that we're meeting their needs. They understand what the expectations are as we move forward with children coming back in our buildings.
That's impressive. And again, sounds very thorough, like you've had to restructure the entire way that the school day looks. But thank you for all that you're doing in order to ensure the safety of our children, our families, and communities. And then for those who will continue virtual at home, what kind of support for the technology is needed and available for the remote learning?
Yeah, so that's been a challenge, and then the reason being that it's a challenge. First of all, the challenge not for CFB, and I'm gonna say for the state of Texas, is that many districts were not one-to-one devices for their children, and I'm talking about like over 830 districts across the state of Texas were not one-to-one. Good for CFB that over the last couple of years we have been now one-to-one, and so every child had a device, but some of those devices were getting old, and so back in April, May, the Board of Trustees blessed us with allowing us to purchase over 5,000 more Chromebooks and additional iPads. Well, then the state of Texas came back in and said, you know what, we'll match your funds if you decide to purchase more. So we decided to go back out and purchase all new devices. Again, some of those Chromebooks and iPads were 4 and 5 years old, which is the life expectancy of one of those units. So we took advantage of that, saving $2.5 million. We ended up purchasing 16,000 additional devices, plus the 5,000 that we had already purchased, plus the addition of 2,100 hotspots for the children that need them. And so we've now disseminated, majority of those devices. The bad thing is those additional new devices that were supposed to come in, since there's been an overload across the state, they're not coming in until February. But that's okay. We've already got our devices all in hand. These are just going to be refresher new devices for our children that we'll swap out. But the ones they have now are adequate and they're working. Now, what have we had to do since we started, remote learning on day one? There was, I'm not gonna lie, there was many issues. So we deployed our technology department to be of service to our community by setting up stations so that they could drive by and we could fix their item, their device on the spot. If we couldn't, we gave them a brand new device on the spot. We did that all last week from 4 to 8 p.m. Day one, we served over 700 families, day one. Day 2, we dropped down to about 500 families, and now we're limited down to about 50 families. And yesterday, we were down to only about 15 families. So we feel that was a big win. We were at their service. We had about 25 people there to support them as they drove through. We tried to make sure they didn't wait in line more than an hour. My understanding it was much less than an hour, and then people had devices. We also have call-ins. So we've got 5 new people that are call in at the help desk. If you have an issue, if you have a problem with a password, or I can't seem to do this, you call. You'll have a live person right then and there to answer all of your questions. We also provided new laptops for all 2,100 teachers. We've also we're providing docking stations. We provided new smart boards to where a teacher can now interact on a large 70-inch screen, so they can see all their children in person, and also obviously see all those that are virtual. And there's a two-way communication there with live cameras, and we're disseminating those as we speak in preparation for September 8th. So, we've spent, millions of dollars to make sure that this would be a smooth start, as smooth as possible. We're still providing, again, every single resource we possibly can for those parents. Parents can even send out emails. We're responding to those emails within 24 hours, many times within 30 minutes, to answer, to make sure that child is not losing out. Now, across the state of Texas, well, let me back up and say in Region 10, there was a major issue last week where internet was disconnected. And so if your sole provider for internet or fiber was from the Region Service Center, then you didn't have any internet until they were able to get that back up. That affected 51 districts. I'm proud to say in CFB, we had a backup plan. In the event we had that happen, which it did, we were back online within 37 minutes. We had a backup. We used Spectrum. And so we were able to connect with Spectrum, and we were back on immediately. Some districts had to call school for the entire day. We just had a small intermission, a recess break, as I've been calling it, for us to get kicked back on. But again, money well worth spent as we move forward. And so, again, we're not perfect, and we're going to continue to listen to our stakeholders, our families, and our children. What can we do better to support you and supply every resource? And again, if it wasn't for our wonderful Board of Trustees, staying on top of it, giving us everything that we possibly needed, we wouldn't be where we are today, and we wouldn't be as successful as we are.
Wow, that's really encouraging, the level of contingency plan and thoroughness that you guys have put into every aspect of this, from meals to remote to in-person. Sounds like you guys are doing an incredible job. Thank you. Now, here's an important question. Are counseling services still available to students, and how do they get that information?
They are. And so we've provided counseling services. We started doing this a year ago, where we've learned that so many families need so much more. They need counseling assistance. And I'm not talking about just the child. I'm talking about the family, because, if there's not a healthy family at home, your child may or may not struggle. So we started doing evening programs for counseling services. And when we first started this, we had a pretty lengthy waiting list. We thought, all right, let's double our counseling services. Well, we learned that it continued to double in that waiting list. And so but through all this process, when we moved into the fall and into the spring, whenever COVID hit, we continued those counseling services. We served over 190 hours of counseling services during that, just from that March to that May timeframe. That's how many families truly needed it. We still have anonymous alerts. We still have Gaggle. These are programs or apps that students can use for outcries when they're having issues. And I'm proud to say that we've actually saved children's lives. So Joe Gillen's team and Mario Della Rosa, as soon as we get an alert, there is someone at their house, somebody responding with less than an hour. And again, this is 24 hours a day, and they are monitoring this system. Are we going to continue to provide the counseling services to our children, whether they're remote or they're in person? 100% yes. That is a mission that we have. And during these times, we don't want to just, again, help the children. We also want to help the families. And so if they don't feel comfortable coming up, great. We will do it virtually for you. If you want to come up to our building, wonderful. We'll be here to serve you. Again, this is taxpayer dollars, and we feel that it's very important that we serve the whole child. We serve the whole family during these times, and we will continue to do so. If we need to add even additional counselors to support the program, we will do it without a blink of an eye.
Very good. Yes, I know mental health has been a big concern with the pandemic, with the isolation, the shutdown, and it's critical that you guys are providing those services. So thank you for that. Where can parents go to find out more information about the 2020-21 school year?
Yeah, so you can go to CFBISD.edu to our website. It has all the information. If you look under, so we have a new website. Let me back up. We have a new website, which is awesome. It's got videos on it. It's got more information than you can ever imagine. One of the reasons we decided to put a new video, a web page together was some of the complaints that I was getting when I first came into CFB was, I can't find anything on your website. And we're like, it's there, but it takes like 9 or 10 clicks. No one has time for 9 or 10 clicks to get there. So we looked at our high traffic areas, and we made it to where it was easy, where you could get into 1 to 2 clicks, 3 at the most, to find the information you need. Well, if you go on our website, you can go on to the under the videos, and on the very far left side, you can see Back to School 2021, and you click on it, and there are literally thousands and thousands of pages of documents. There's over 25 videos. So if you don't want to read a 4-page document, there's going to be a video that you can follow, and in English and in Spanish. And so you can watch a simple 2 to 3 minute video from Canvas and how does my virtual learning look, to social and emotional needs, to how are we reopening, to safety and security, to how we disinfect buildings. Everything is listed there. We are also being used across the state as having a robust website that people are using. We want other people to use our flow charts. We want them to use our reentry plan. We spend a lot of time and energy on this, and if it's good for kids, use it. And so we want our parents to see these items. We've also been monitoring our new website, and it's been hit over 200 times more than our prior website just in the last 2 months. So people are using it, people are reading on it, and people are getting the information. We also have FAQs, so our frequently asked questions. Those come into our COVID 2021 address, and we're answering those questions within 24 hours, and we're posting those online. So there's somebody monitoring those every hour, and we've got our team answering them, and then we're posting them by the next morning. And then if we see a theme of concerns from parents, then we immediately, within 3 days, we put together a document followed by a video so that they can watch a video or they can read the document. And then we're building flow charts where that's very simple to understand for most individuals.
That's awesome. And we just rebuilt our chamber website as well. And so totally understand that is a time intensive task. It definitely takes a great tech team, a great creative team, and people who have the wisdom and ability to look at the metrics, look at what's most valuable, and strategically place things so that they are easy to find. And it's not buried. And I also love that you guys are doing it in both English and Spanish and recognizing the demographic that you have and ensuring them that they're set up for success.
One thing I do want to say, because I do have families say, are y'all not putting this in Spanish? And the answer is we are. So we have Parent Square. That's an app that it sends out to the families. So if they elect to say that I speak English, you're only going to get the English video or the English language. The documents. Those that say Spanish, we only send them those documents in Spanish. And so when people are going back and forth, the Spanish speakers aren't seeing the English speaking aren't seeing the Spanish speaking. And so we're not double sending out messages. So I want to make that clear that so many people are asking, and we're like, no, we got this. And it's based on the language that you asked for.
And that saves them, I'm sure, a lot of extra clicks as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how can the business community help our schools right now?
Right now, we've got so many people, so many giving people in Farmers Branch that they're just wanting to come in and lend a hand. And right now, the face-to-face, we just can't do. And so we're asking people be patient. As soon as we get, a green light from CDC, and or from the county to do so, we'll start opening those doors. But they've provided us through our Giving House. Our Giving House is a platform that we are providing coats and socks and hygiene products for our children. We're still doing that, and so if there's something that you want to provide in a monetary way, Giving House is the way to go. 100% of the proceeds go back to that, and we are using that system. Coats are about to be an issue, and so if you want to help with that, we're more than grateful for our stakeholders to do it. But as of right now, I just ask them to pray for us. That's all we can do. This is a tough time, and so us making the right decisions, us providing the best support for our children, and not knowing what tomorrow holds. It could all change today, and it has been changing by the hour at times. But we just ask our businesses just to again, if you want to send a monetary donation for the Giving House, that's really the only platform we have right now. MetroCrest Services knocked a home run. They gave us all of their supplies and materials that we can now disseminate. We have been disseminating to all the campuses, so our children have the supplies in hand. So we didn't have a big backpack extravaganza this year because of COVID, but we were able to use those supplies, disseminate them, and the principals are now putting those to use for our children, so they can then come up and get them for home, or they can have them in the classroom. But just keep doing what they're doing. But in time, we'll open our doors again and be able to provide a more robust opportunity for those volunteers.
Last question for you. Looking at the cross section, taking into consideration that we have employers and employees who are also parents, who are now teachers, just what words of reassurance or encouragement can you give them that, their kids are going to be adequately equipped and that this school year is going to somehow be okay?
Yeah. Well, we've got this. And so, it's these families, our teachers, oh my gosh, they're unbelievable. I mean, they just have worked so hard. And again, even whenever we're told the state gives us one direction, they jump. The county tells us to go a different direction, we jump. And so, they've been so patient and they've worked so hard to make sure that we provide the essentials that we need. People are learning new platforms on how to teach, having to balance too remote learners and then their traditional learners and how is that going to work for them? It's been just exceptional. But one of the things that I want to say, because the unemployment rate is so high, I want to say that this is a great shout out to our board of trustees that they've approved multiple processes for our staffs where they haven't lost a single dime. And so, back in the spring, March through May, we paid every employee. We continued to pay every employee during those times. Even those employees, and I'm going to pick on our food service that distributed over, that 706,000 meals, that we paid them even a premium pay for coming in and risking, their health to make sure that our children had the supplies. We've also, we gave a 2% pay raise, and a lot of people go, 2%, that's not much. That's pretty high considering what our county and other area superintendents or districts have paid. It's good. We've also decided to give a one-time supplemental pay. And so there's going to be an additional pay to our employees right before Thanksgiving, Christmas holiday. So in their November check, there'll be an additional pay for those individuals. Also, those that are contracting or have to be quarantined, or they have a positive case and they have to be at home for 10 to 14 days. There's now an opportunity to where the board's going to consider this next week, September the 3rd, that we have what's called a sick leave bank, that we're going to ask them, can we use some of those days so that if a teacher is quarantined, that we can then, make sure that they have days available so they're not getting docked in pay. Huge. All of our non-exempt employees, many of them unfortunately don't have health insurance because the school health insurance is so high. So what we're now going to propose to the board of trustees is that we allow all of our non-exempt employees to have telehealth services like telehealth. They can call in, and I want to provide that for free for all of those employees. So we want to make sure that they have the assistance that they need. If they don't have the insurance, that we provide them a free service that they can keep moving forward. Because if they're sick, we want to get them better. But more importantly, if they're sick, we want them to stay home and get the medications that they need, because we need them to be back. But I'm going to tell you, we need all of our people. We need their support, and they have provided that hands down. Our staff has not complained. They have taken whatever roles and responsibilities, and they have gone above and beyond the call of duty. And so with that, I'm just so grateful for what they do and the leadership of our principals. But I can tell you, with the servant heart of our board and the proposals that we've made to the board, they haven't even blinked an eye to make sure that we're providing the best for our employees, that they are safe, they're secure, they have the funds available that they need. And we're doing the same thing with our children to make sure they have the resources available that we can provide the best each and every day. And if we're not meeting your needs, we are doing everything in our power to ensure that you do have those needs met, no matter where you come from, whatever background that you have, that we're going to support you through these times. And we will get through this together.
I love your confidence, Dr. Chapman. It makes me proud, all that you guys are doing and how thorough this conversation has been to be a representative of the CFB community. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, and thank you to all the teachers and administrators. I don't want to negate that this has been challenging, but wow, I mean, as a professional and a representative of the business community, this is an increase in skills. This is an increase in skill sets of these students and our future leaders. And I'm sure it's been rough with the IT issues, the hiccups, learning Canvas, the platforms, the this, the that. But I believe that this is going to have an impact, well beyond just this season, a year or two. This is definitely going to increase the skills and increase the availability of education throughout our country by being able to offer virtual options as well as in person. So thank you. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, just thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to speak to our community. That, again, I want everybody to know it's not our building, it's not our children, it's not our money, and I know that. And so I'm here. We are here to serve you, our community, and we will continue to do everything in our power to provide you the best opportunity we possibly can. So thank you for being patient. Thank you for praying for us and caring for us, because we're going to do it, and we're going to get through this, and we will be stronger in the end.
Awesome. We're going to get through this together. Thank you for your time today, Dr. Chapman. Thank you for all those. If you have any questions, again, please reach out to cfbisd.edu. Check out their new website and let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you.